Okay, all right. Today we're going to learn about functions in Python. Okay, functions are nothing but just a block of code that can be used again and again. Okay, like I have a code like x is equal to input, enter a number. Okay, and then I want to calculate and also a y, input, enter a second number. Okay, so for we'll convert it into integers. Okay, so I've took inputs for two numbers, those are integers. I want to calculate that formula, that was a plus b whole square. Okay, a plus b whole square. So what is that? A plus b whole squares mean it is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Okay, so I want to print that, so I will just type print, and in that way I will calculate print sum of two numbers. So let me run that first. You can see that enter a number, I'm entering 2 and then 3. It is saying that there is an error that a is not defined. So I've used here x and y, so I'm gonna change that, a and b. Okay, okay, again enter a number, 2 and 3. So answer is 25. Okay, answer is 25. So in that way it calculated the sum of two numbers. So let's make a function for that. Okay, so how to make a function that def. Okay, whenever you are creating any kind of function, just type def space name of the function. It can be anything, so I'm gonna name it square of some. Yeah, just say hello. Okay, I can name it any, and I have to pass two numbers to it. Suppose x, a and b, and here I will type this code. So that will take inputs for two numbers, and it will calculate square or a plus b whole square for that, those two numbers. Okay, so again I'm going to change that a to b with x and y. Okay, and I'm going to print here hello, and I'm going to pass them x comma y. What it will do, it will do the same that was doing before. Like again I'm going to enter 2 and 3, it will give me 25. So let's learn, let's try to understand what's happening. Function is a default code, okay, that assumes some default values. Okay, like I've given here a and b. This a and b is called parameter. Okay, parameters can be 1, 2, 3, any number. Okay, I've given here two parameters, a and b. So it assumes that these a and b have some value. Okay, it takes the input for these two values and then it performs the calculation on it. Okay, so you can do this in multiple ways. Again I'm gonna call this, and I'm going to pass it default values, hello, and 3 comma 4. It will work same. The first one, this hello, is the name of the function, and x and y is a name of variable, which means that we have defined their names earlier. Either we are we written the code for inputs, or we have hard coded them, like hard code values like x is equal to and y is equal to 3, and you don't take inputs. This is the hard code value, and other is the user input that we use using the input functions. Let's run that. So first it is asking me number. I'm gonna asking 9 and 9. So 9 and 9, square of 9 and 9 is this, and the rest of two values were hard coded, and whose answer is this. Okay. Sarim Tahir said you told manual way to do the dot sort function. Yes, I did, because whenever you'll visit to a job interview, they don't ask you to use the built-in functions. Okay, if you always use the built-in functions, so you cannot make logics for the different problems, because in programming we solve real world problem. Okay, and to solve a real world problem, real time problem, you should be good in logics. Okay, in building logic, solving a complex problem using your own understanding. We know that Python provide built-in function for sorting, but still we study in our degrees. And why we learn this? Because it makes us able to build new algorithms. Okay, if you cannot think, you cannot make new formulas, new inventions, new discoveries. So that's why I yesterday we learned about sorting manually. Okay, we'll learning a lot of things manually instead of using the built-in functions. Okay, so let's get back to our topic. So that was a built-in function that I used. Okay, I'm gonna save it in some other file. Okay, and now I'm gonna remove it. I'm gonna make another function. Number one is that will take inputs and display it on the screen. So I say personal info. Okay, functions whose name is info, and I'm not gonna give any kind of parameter to it. Okay, first I say it will ask me to input name. So a name would be a string, so I'm not gonna put the int at the start. I'm just gonna write input, and it will say enter your name. Okay, and then I wanted to ask me my information like age. It is a integer, so I'm gonna type int here and then input. Okay, and then I'm gonna type here enter your age. Okay, and then I want to print these values, so I'm gonna print name, print age. Okay, and there is a mistake. I forgot to place a comma here, and let's run that. It will return nothing. Screen will be blank. Nothing is changed there. Why? I created a function, but I didn't call it. Okay, so first you create a function, then you can call it multiple times whenever there is a requirement for a functions, and you can again and again call that function. Okay, so that's why we create functions. So after defining it, you have to declare it. Sorry, call it. So info is the name, and there was no parameter, so I will just type info and blank parenthesis. Now run that. Now it's asking me to enter your name. Okay, so sorry, I typed something else. Okay, so there is something that, okay, ignore that. It is showing me something extra, but I'm not gonna talk about that now. We'll talk that later. Okay, now one thing again to learn, that I have taken input in this variable name. So it means that I should call it here, print it. We were doing that after taking input. We can print any number. So print name, print age, and it will show me an error maybe. Let's run that. Again, name. It is saying me that name is not defined, but I have taken input. You can see here that like here, I take an input and the variable name, okay, and it is printed. Name is Hussein, age is 25. It is printed, but I cannot call it. And again, it is saying me that error. Why it is happening so? Because I declared that variable inside the function. So I cannot call that variable outside the functions. We call this scope of variable. So this thing need to be learned. So two kinds of scope is there. Scope of variables. Okay, let's zoom it. So there are two kind of scope. One is local scope and other is the global scope. Okay, global scope. What does that mean? Local scope means, or if you're a Pakistani, okay, and you travel abroad, it means that now you are a global person. Okay, but if you're a Pakistani and Pakistani law cannot be implemented outside the Pakistan, or USA law cannot be implemented outside the USA, it means that that law is local for them, not for us. If this law is implemented worldwide, then this law would be called as a global law. Okay, in the same way, local variables means, or local scope means, wherever the function is defined, it is accessible only there. Okay, it means that if I declare the variable inside the function, so I can use it inside the function. I cannot call that variable outside the functions. Okay, and if I've declared outside the function a variable, I cannot call that inside the functions. Then we have to use the global scope if we want to use a variable anywhere, wherever we want, either inside the function or outside the function. So we will learn this in next class about this global scope. Now you need to learn about local scope. Local scope means you cannot call a variable outside the class, outside the functions, or you cannot use the outside functions, outside variable inside the function. Okay, if I clear it above this, so in the definition of local scope, I cannot use this name variable inside the function. Okay, I cannot use that inside the function using the local definition of local scope. If I can use that inside the function, which means that this variable is a global variable. Okay, now let's move further. I want to print area of a circle. Okay, what is the area of a circle? Pi r square. So means that I have to define a function. Okay, define area of circle, and I will just pass it a radius. And what it will do, I'm gonna make another constant variable like pi is equal to 3.14. Okay, and now I'm gonna print the area. Area is equal to pi r square. Pi multiplied by r square. Okay, and then I want to print that area of circle having radius is area. Okay, so whatever radius I will pass to that function, it will calculate area of the circle for that particular circle. Okay, whose radius would be like whatever I will give it to. Okay, So let's call that function. Make sure your cursor should be at the start, okay, at the beginning. So here I will take input from the user like radius is equal to, now here comes the point, radius can be a floating number or it can be an integer. Okay, it's totally up to you. Either you want to calculate for a floating point, and normally radius is in floating points and our area would be in floating point. So I'm going to call that float. Float input, enter radius of circle. Okay, so then I will call the function area of circle, and I'm gonna pass this radius as a parameter, and then I'm gonna run that. Now you can see it is asking me the radius. I'm gonna enter 3.5. So I've got that radius area of circle having radius 3.5 is 38.465. So in that way the functions work. Okay, we can do it another way. I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna make some changes. Instead of printing that, I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna return that. Okay, and here I will save it in this variable, and then I will print rad with this. Sorry, this was supposed to be area. Okay, then here, now see, I've made couple of changes here. Number one, I called the functions and I saved it in another variable. Okay, that is the first change. Second, here r was written and I replaced that r with radius. Okay, and then I replaced here area with that variable. Okay, so this radius is the local variable which is outside the area function. So we cannot use the this r from the parameter of the area of the circle. Okay, and let's run that. I hope it will work same. 3.5, and you can see that output is the same. So two type, normally function behaves in different ways, but here I'm going to mention two types. Number one is the return type function. Okay, and second is the calculative type functions. Okay, the first we used that was here, you can see on the screen this, you can see it. Okay, that function wasn't returning something, it was just printing, calculating and then printing. Okay, but that function that I changed, now I told him that calculate the area and return it to me. Okay, which means that this function will return me something, and whenever we have something we create variables to store that. Okay, and in that case we have to create a variable. Okay, and then this radius was the variable that was created outside the function, so we can use it here, but we cannot use that r, it was uh, inside the functions. Okay, it was a variable that was defined inside the function. Okay, so you can practice this in that way, and let's make another program like a lengthy program that may have many functions and we can use them, and suppose let me think a bigger function. Okay, so let me save this first. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. So number one, let's create a function for factorial. Before creating function, we need to create num is equal to 7. I'm gonna write the code for a basic factorial program, and then fact is equal to 1. Okay, for I in num, you can say. Okay, fact is equal to fact multiplied by I. Okay, and let's make it 5. Print fact. Let's run that. Okay, there is int object, and okay, let me run that again. Int is not iterable, and oh yeah, this is an integer, so I have to give here a range. I'm gonna start from 1 till num. Okay, now I think that will work. Okay, 24, 5 4s are 20. No, num plus 1, because 4 runs 1 less than the upper limit, so it's 4. So this is the basic code for a factorial. I'm going to cut that and making a function define factorial, name as fact. Okay, and we will pass a num, and then it will calculate factorial for that. Okay, but now we have to remove this num from here. Whenever you have given a parameter, it suppose that it have a value, so you cannot give default values to a parameter while creating your own functions. Okay, and I forgot that. So let's try to run this, and I will ask the user to enter int and input, enter a number. Okay, and then I will call that function fact, and I'm not gonna print this, I'm gonna return it. Okay, and fact into x, and now I'm gonna print that first. So let's run it. Okay, enter a number 5. It is giving me another value answer. Let's run it again. I'm gonna give 7. It's giving me the factorial of 7. गरम करवा दीजिएगा, गरम करवा दें. Okay, sorry, I'm sitting in a public place, so my tea was cold now. Okay, and in that way we use that. Now we can use this for another purpose. I want to calculate this series like 1 divided by factorial of 1. Okay, plus 2 divided by factorial of 2, plus 3 divided by factorial of 3, and it will be continued up to n value. So I will ask from the user, enter how many numbers you want to calculate the sum in that series. If the user say 10, then this will continue till 10 over 10 factorial, which means that we have to create first, we have to ask user for the upper value. Okay, so upper is equal to, just like that, I'm going to copy it. enter the upper limit for the series. So user will give me an upper limit like 5, 7 or 10 values. Then I will create a for loop for I in range starting from 1 till that upper limit. So I want to calculate exact till upper limit, so I have to add 1 to it. And then I'm going to calculate sum. So for that I have to create a variable sum is equal to 0. Okay, and then sums is equal to, thank you, sums plus 1, sorry, I will give me 1 2 3 4 every time, and then divided by factorial of that I, and this FAC is the function that we have created above. Okay, so this series will give me sum for that. Okay, so before calculating sum, let's print that first. So just print it so that you can see how it will work. Print I comma, we want to show a divide sign, and then factorial of I. Okay, and then a plus sign after every. This will differentiate them. Okay, let's remove it and run this. Invalid syntax, let me see. Oh, sorry, this is not part of the solution. Again, run this. Enter a number 5. Sorry. So you can see here it will type 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 6, 4 over 24, 5 over 120. This 120 is a factorial of 5. 24 is a factorial of 4. 6 is a factorial of 3. 2 is a factorial of 2, and 1 is a factorial of 1. So in that way we will sum that. So we have to make a couple of changes. This is no longer needed here, and instead of that I will type here sum this, and outside the loop I will type the sum of the series. Okay, so in that will work. Only the upper limit 7, and it calculates the sum of the series. Okay, you can see it is in decimal form. Why? Because there is, you can see fractions are there. You can see 5 over 120 will give us a floating point value, so that will be 0.000 something. Okay, so I hope that you learned this. So in that way function works. So there are more complex problems and functions. You can also find some practice questions from Google. I will share this 2 or 3 questions that we have done today in groups. So I hope that you have learned. So that was enough for today's session. If someone want to ask something, he or she may ask. Anyone want to ask something? No one? Anyone want to ask something? He or she can mute himself or herself. You can unmute yourself. Anyone? Okay, thank you. That was enough for today's session then. You guys can speak if you want to ask something. No one. Okay, thank you. And that was today's session. I'll see you on the next Saturday. And from next week, maybe we start some really advanced topics. Okay, That are some libraries for Python programming, and those are the very advanced level that mostly we use in artificial intelligence and data sciences, machine learning, like NumPy and yeah, Pygame is also a library for that, but we'll not learn this. Okay, basic are NumPy, Pandas. They are the very basics. Everyone should know if you want to start your career path in artificial intelligence, machine learning, or data sciences. Okay, and Panda is the basic thing in libraries. Whenever you are dealing with different data, like you can see you have a record of 1 million people, so first you need to understand how to organize the data and how to access the data in different forms. So we use pandas for that. Okay, and then we'll learn some advanced libraries like scikit-learn and matplotlib. It is used, and Seaborn and matplotlib are used for graphs. Okay, I would like to show you a couple of examples here that you guys might be interested. That I'm working on those technologies currently. Nowadays I'm working on coronavirus data sets. It's part of my one research paper. I'm writing this for my PhD purposes. So I'm going to show you those. So just wait a moment. It is starting. Uh, it's starting. Let me show you COVID. This is the basic thing. Regression prediction. Let me run all these cells. Even you can see this is a graph, and there are many more graphs, and this graph is from linear regression. It is used for making future predictions, or normally we use regression to analyze the current patterns of something, like how something is growing. And like you can see the coronavirus cases, so if someone wants to learn the spread pattern of the coronavirus, so regression can also be used in that. Okay, and there are more some libraries that we will use, and let me show if there is something else I have. Let me go back, and maybe this can be helpful.